Good day, everyone, and welcome to our ProTraining technical webinar featuring Matt Remmen and Alex Coe from Envu. Before we start, I'd like to review a few items so you know how to participate in today's event. Here's a quick review of what you'll see on your screen. To the left of your screen is the viewer where you see the presentation. To the right is a control panel where you can ask questions. The control panel will collapse automatically when not in use. To keep it open, click the View menu and uncheck Auto Hide Control Panel. You have joined this webinar in listen-only mode, which means you are muted. You will have the opportunity to submit text questions by typing your questions into the questions pane of the control panel. You may send in your questions at any time during the presentation, and we'll address them during the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. Also, via the control panel, you can download resource documents that our presenters have provided by going to the Handouts pane anytime during the webinar. Later today, you will receive a follow-up email containing the webinar recording. With that, let me introduce you to today's speakers. Matthew Remmen is an entomologist with expertise across all facets of pest management. He has extensive experience controlling bed bugs, termites, and ants. Matt is particularly skilled in training and educating pest management professionals and technicians on best practices. He has been an instructor with the University of Florida for more than 10 years, where he trains the next generation of pest management professionals. Matt earned both his bachelor's degree and his master's degree in entomology from the University of Florida. In his spare time, he enjoys growing mangoes, fishing, and hunting. Alex Coe drives new digital and chemistry solutions from concept to market launch. He supports innovative and development of insecticide baits, dust, and sprays. Alex is passionate about data science and mobile application development. He programmed his own insect recognition mobile app and pest management reference guide. He earned his PhD in entomology from North Carolina State University, where he studied German cockroach behavior and insecticide resistance for his dissertation. He is a passionate rock climber and mountaineer. So with that, Matt, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you for coming today and attending. I do understand that there'll be a lot of questions and things that we can answer. Our goal is to help you find your best solution. So if we can do that today, I think we have done something positive. And I want to say thank you to Veseris for allowing us to have this presentation. Their ability to allow us to communicate to the industry best practices, I think will help everybody involved. So thank you very much. To start our presentation, we wanted to introduce ourselves, but I think Chris probably did a better job than we could have. And in fact, it sounds so much better hearing it from somebody else than talking about your own person. So thank you, Chris. I do want to show you though that we have some solutions here that you can view in the future. After this presentation, we have both a landing page for our bedbug solutions, which is highlighted on your screen here. This bedbug solutions page has different things that you can pick and use for the part or in the totality of your bedbug control. So in the future, if you have some questions and you don't think it's worth reaching out to talking to somebody, you can explore it and find it on your own as you deem appropriate. Okay. And I'll bring that up again at the end to show you that link if you happen to need it. Like Chris said, my name is Matt Remmen. I'm the Technical Market Development Manager. There's myself and Alex Coe. Alex Coe is one of our solutions development scientists. So what that means is I'm more of the technical and the operations sided, and Alex is the fellow who's back there mixing up some of the chemistry and working on those solutions that you bring to us that you need in the industry. So why are we here today? We're here today because bed bugs are still a problem. If they weren't a problem, we wouldn't need to talk about it. Veseris wouldn't need to sell a solution, and you wouldn't ask us for assistance and products to control these bugs. So we're going to look at some of the things that are currently available, whether they be chemical or non-chemical, and kind of guide on where we're going in the future. And I do want to show you that we have that suite of solutions. This actually lands to a slightly different page that will give you maybe those options that you might need in different areas, whether it be our tempered FX, tempered dust, our True Detects, or any of the other solutions that we offer. You can use this interactive page to guide yourself on what solutions we have that you can acquire via Veseris. Oops, let me try that again. There we go. Now, going forward, I'd like to turn this over to Alex, and he's going to speak a bit about the behaviors and biology of some of the bed bugs that we see.
Awesome, thank you. So, I'm sure many of our participants have lots of knowledge around bed bugs, but I thought I would give some introduction to bed bug biology and behavior just to level set everyone on the call. So bed bugs and their infestations have tremendous negative effects on human health and the quality of life, both from the bites themselves, which could cause secondary infection, as well as the psychological trauma associated with having bed bugs in one of the most secure places in your home, your bed. Bed bugs are quite difficult to spot due to their small size. They tend to be nocturnal, and they also tend to hide in cracks and crevices, such as the imperfections in furniture that you could see in the picture on the right-hand side. You could see bedbug eggs, bed bugs of different developmental stages, and they're all crammed into this recessed screw hole in a bed frame. So their tendency to be quite cryptic and difficult to spot lends to their difficulty, the difficulty that pest control operators have in their control. And failure to detect these early infestations can have dramatic pest management consequences, because if these bedbug populations are left undetected, these populations can bloom quickly out of control. So it's critical that we are proactive in finding bed bugs, and that early detection of bed bugs is key. Now, bed bugs are considered by the United States Environmental Protection Agency as a pest of significant health importance. Bed bugs are not known to transmit disease. You could go on to the next slide as well. Not known to transmit disease, but because of the bedbug impacts on mental health, for example, the social stigma associated with having bedbugs, shame and embarrassment from having an infestation, these can lead to social pressures as well as internal pressures, for example, increased anxiety and depression. And knowing that you have bed bugs in your home can lead to sleep disturbances for many people, interrupted sleep, which can lead to then poor school performance for children.
Yeah, I think that's great, Alex, because everybody here in this call probably knows of a customer or even maybe a coworker or family member that has had bed bugs and knows that that person is sometimes different pre-bed bugs to post-bed bugs. So I think this is a very important slide.
Yep. Now, there's no evidence at the moment that bed bugs can transmit these diseases. However, the reason that bed bugs are considered to be pests of importance by the EPA is because of all of these, all of the impact that bed bug infestations can have on the mental state of humans. Also, it's very, very difficult to diagnose bites. Sometimes people may get bites and assume that they're bed bugs. That's not true. So it's as pest management professionals, we're not dermatologists. We are not allowed to diagnose insect bites, and reactions from bed bugs can vary quite dramatically from person to person, and people's skin can react for any number of reasons. For example, changing soap detergent can cause a skin reaction. Mosquito bites and bites from other insects can cause skin reactions. So we cannot diagnose bites from customers just because they're bites as bed bugs.
Alex, when you've been bitten before by bed bugs, feeding and whatnot, do you have a significant reaction to bed bugs?
That's a great question. Sometimes people that have not been fed on by bed bugs before will not react, which can lead to cases in which maybe a couple is sleeping in a bed and one of the individuals is reacting to bed bugs, but the other is not. So not everyone reacts uniformly to bed bug bites. Other people react quite strongly to bed bug bites. So it can vary among individuals. Even in the same bed, you know, one person may not react, the other person may, so it's difficult to say. Personally, I do react to bed bug bites, but again, we're not dermatologists, so we cannot diagnose bed bug bites from customers as being from bed bugs. They could be from other insects or from other reasons why people's skin may react the way that they react.
Yeah, and like Alex said, that's my reaction is a little localized red swelling, and it's gone very quickly, so it just varies so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I mentioned this earlier, but bed bugs, again, it's very difficult to diagnose bites from bed bugs, but that this cycle of difficult to detect and the bedbug population grows in size due to their cryptic nature, their small size, their tendency to hide in cracks and crevices. This can all be factors in why it's difficult to control bedbugs. So pest control professionals need to be again proactive, need to be faster at detecting small infestations, use as many tools in their toolkit as possible, and use highly performant insecticidal tools as well in controlling these bedbug infestations.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that if you can get better at this cycle, then you've really embraced maybe the concept of like an ounce of prevention versus a pound of cure. So if we can be quicker to find, faster to address, I think the total solution is better for our customers and their customers as well.
Yeah. So it's important that when we're conducting bedbug control strategies that we have a service agreement that's specifically designed for bedbugs. It's important that we maintain accurate records always. It's also important that we use training to teach not only technicians and sales staff about how to conduct a proper bedbug inspection, but also we've seen some companies offer bedbug education workshops to their customers. A great example is with perhaps hospitals hiring pest management professionals to conduct bedbug training for their hospital staff and hotels as well to identify bedbugs in their rooms.
Yeah, Alex, I think this is a great point. And if you can see on the lower right-hand side, that best management practice by bed bugs, it's an NPMA document, and it's available, I think, for most members to go in and peruse. And the reason why it's important is all these things that Alex is mentioning on the left-hand side really fall under this best management practice that some states have adopted. Certain states like California and I think New York lead the way in terms of client landlord communication and roles and responsibilities. So even if you don't perform bed bug practices in those areas, you should probably be aware of this as maybe a standard that might be coming to your state as well.
Excellent. Next slide, please.
There you go. All right, there's the next one.
Oh, this is the next one. Okay. And then a few more important points. It's important to conduct thorough inspections when conducting a bedbug inspection. It's not enough to just run through very quickly and say, nope, don't see any bed bugs and walk out. Remember, bed bugs are cryptic in nature, small, difficult to detect, so it's important to conduct a thorough inspection when doing a visual inspection for bed bugs. Another important point here is to have access to adjoining units, what we call a cloverleaf inspection. It's important to, of the central focus of that infestation, it's important to branch that inspection out to units above and below and to either side of that primary inspection room, because bed bugs can travel through the walls to infest other units. And it's also important to allow sufficient time for the treatment and to use insecticides properly when conducting bed bug control. And also maintaining expectations for control, and that multiple service visits may be required in order to achieve complete control of an infestation.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that you bring up there, Alex. Those multiple visits, but it's also going to be multiple calls probably in between those visits. Where this pest is different than many others is that it probably has more communication skills and more touches to the customers than we generally have with a lot of other, and I'll just pick on, call it general pest, or call it, occasional invaders, or something of a similar nature than those pests. So this often requires more time before and after in terms of what those expectations are, and that clear communication seems to set that person up for success, or hopefully not failure. So I'm going to quickly go through the state of the market in bed bugs. We do see it changing. We've seen a lot of things happening. What we're seeing happening, if I had to paint this in a large picture, is that there are still some really bad places. Those places, though, seem to have decreased, and I'll just call those the really tough jobs. We definitely have seen the total amount has grown. Many of those are maybe a lower level of infestation, or sometimes an easier to manage level of infestation. Now, those tough ones are still there, but looking at this market, it seems like this market is here, and this market will stay here for the foreseeable future. I've had people ask me, well, hey, is this going to happen? Will the change in the market happen to bed bugs like it's happened with, whether it be termites or some roach issues or whatnot? I don't know, but I can tell you that because bed bugs feed on people, they're so associated with people, because we tend to like to travel a lot, because we like to see the world. I don't see this going down meaningfully, even if those total really, really tough jobs, ones I mentioned earlier, don't go up. So maybe that gives some color to some of the things that we expect to see out of the market going forward. Now, with bed bugs, we've seen more and more PMPs go into the market. We know that there's an average bed bug treatment dollar cost, but we know that can vary by what you're doing, whether you're doing a dog inspection plus a treatment, whether you're doing a fumigation, whether you're doing something different than the normal standard, that can vary, but it gives us a relative idea that bed bug services are significant. And to see that such a large percentage of the industry says that it's either no change or even more significant in terms of their business is pretty telling. What it means is that it's very, very valuable for those folks to stay in business. I certainly don't want you to jump in this if you haven't done bed bug control without considering all the challenges and all the things that you might need to do, but that it is a very valuable source of business for most of the PMPs that were surveyed here. On this next slide, I want to show you that there was an increase, up 15% from 5 years prior. Now, how has that changed in the last 2 years? I couldn't tell you if we're up to 90, if we're 95, 98. Whatever that does mean, though, is that a vast majority of those folks are offering some type of bed bug control services. It could be limited in scope, it could be limited in area, but it shows that more and more folks are entering the market, which usually associates with a demand from that general consumer base. Now, we do have a full suite of solutions coming up. What I'd like to show you, though, is some of those solutions that might be most valuable to you, maybe some of the ones that are newer on the market. And I'm going to turn it over to Alex so he can show you a bit of that.
Awesome. Okay, so I mentioned before the need for detecting these cryptic, hard to find insects. And this slide goes into more detail on the tools that are available to pest control operators to find these cryptic insects. Now, there are a number of different methods for detecting bed bugs in the environment, ranging from bed bug sniffing canine teams to pitfall traps, such as the climb up or interceptor traps, of course, human visual inspection, and some pest control operators still use sticky traps. But we believe that all of these methods for bed bug detection fail in some critical way. And that is that we believe that bed bug inspection tools should be accurate, fast, easy to use, and cost effective. And that a new entrant into the bed bug detection tool realm are lateral flow strips, because they solve some of these key issues. Now, in 2023, we launched a lateral flow strip for bed bug detection called TrueDetects. And in collaboration with the University of California, Riverside, we determined that lateral flow strips were extremely accurate in detecting bed bug residues. We could see that from the testing that the more time that bed bugs spend on a surface, the more residue they leave behind. And so the time on surface was a significant factor in our ability to detect bed bugs, as well as the number of bed bugs. So the more bed bugs that were on a surface, the more residue they leave behind, and the stronger, the bolder our test line appeared in the lateral flow strip. Using TrueDetects is quite simple. You could see in the 4 pictures in the upper right-hand corner how a user would take the swabbing stick, swab areas around areas where people might rest. For example, the couch, chairs, mattresses, bed frames, areas near where people would rest. And then you would take this swabbing stick, replace it back into its plastic sheath, break a liquid capsule at the top, and allow the liquid to run down the stick and collect at the bottom of the plastic sheath. The bottom of the plastic sheath is actually a pipette, and you can remove the white plastic cap at the bottom and place 4 drops of that liquid into the lateral flow strip. And between 3 and 5 minutes, you'd expect to see a response from that strip. If you see one line in the C area, that's the control area, that means that the test was valid, but no bed bug residues were found. And if you see 2 lines, one line at the C control area and one line at the T area, the test line, that indicates that bed bug residues were collected from the swabbing stick.
Yeah, and Alex is showing you a tool that is, I want to make sure that people know, is complementary to a lot of the other things that might be out there. It's a converging line of evidence. So if there is a situation where somebody feels like they're being bitten by something or has some concerns about bed bugs, this can help show what you're doing is scientifically based, valid, and appropriate in that situation. So it's not to exclude anything else in the world, but what it does is it helps guide that decision. And if we can make that decision better, if we can make it faster, if we can get them relief quicker, like Alex said, we've done the right thing.
Yeah, and that's a great point. One thing that I had mentioned before earlier in this presentation is that pest control operators need to use as many tools available in their toolkit as possible. And lateral flow strips are just one of those many tools available to pest control operators. I would never claim that any one product is the silver bullet when it comes to any aspect of bedbug management, whether that's detection, control, or monitoring. But that pest control operators should use a variety of tools that all complement each other in order to execute the best bedbug management program possible. One thing that I also wanted to mention here when it comes to lateral flow strips is that we found that TruDetects can detect tropical bedbugs. Now, why is this important? Tropical bedbugs are becoming more common in subtropical and tropical areas of the world, as well as warmer states, for example, Hawaii, Texas, and Florida. We're finding more tropical bedbugs in places like Central Europe and India. And one of the reasons why it's important that TruDetects is able to detect tropical bedbugs is because, well, one, tropical bedbugs look very similar, Cymex hemipterus, look very similar to Cymex lectularius, only slight differences in their morphology. So you can see that the lobes on tropical bedbugs are narrower and more pointed as opposed to the common bedbug. And because they look very similar, pest management professionals may find it difficult to see the difference and may use tools that are ineffective in detecting these tropical bedbugs. Because tropical bedbugs have an enhanced climbing ability, they are able to climb out of pitfall traps like climb up traps, interceptor traps. They're able to climb out, which means that that's one less tool available for tropical bedbug detection. And we found, again, in collaboration with UC Riverside, that TruDetects is able to detect tropical bedbug residues.
Yeah, and bed bugs, they don't need passports or read maps. So if people are visiting Hawaii and Texas and Florida and they come back to your area, I'm not saying they're bringing these bed bugs, but I'm saying it's a possibility.
Okay, so the previous two slides addressed our ability to detect bed bugs in a laboratory environment. These are controlled laboratory tests where we expose bed bugs to a specific surface for a specific amount of time, and then evaluate our ability to use TruDetects to collect that residue. But here we evaluate TruDetects in a field environment. So we took an apartment complex with a number of infested units. We selected 27 of them that had very low levels of infestation. So these are units in which a pest control operator would walk in and bedbugs would not be obvious. So these are very, very low levels of infestation in these rooms. And we evaluated 3 different methods of detecting bed bugs. We tried canines. We actually tested 3 canine teams. We tested 2 technicians, technicians that are specifically trained to detect and control bed bugs, and compared canine teams and visual inspection to TruDetects. And this is what we found. So we found actually that to an extremely high degree of accuracy that TruDetect was able to correctly identify 96% of those infested units, whereas visual inspection alone and canine inspection alone were not quite so successful in identifying infested units. So yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to mention that we've shown this to a few folks before, and their question to us was, with those units, how did you know it was the right place? And like Alex mentioned, these were places that were not absolutely overrun, that weren't just easily seen with bed bugs. They had those low levels, but we had bed bug researchers and their associates confirm that these places did have bed bugs. So it's a very difficult thing to put into a procedure, but those were the guardrails. So you didn't have the places that were overrun with bed bugs, because if you can see them, it doesn't, you don't need this tool. We go right into that curative stage. But we also confirmed that these were places that did have bed bugs, with some folks that are very, very good at this and that are doing this in a professional setting all the time.
Right, and we also used an established method for determining what units had low levels of infestation, where climb-up traps were used, pitfall traps were used to confirm whether or not low infestation, whether or not units had low levels of bed bugs. So there were bed bugs in each of these units at low levels. We've also found that that we are comparable when it comes to inspection time. Canine teams, of course, are extremely fast. These dogs run through rooms very, very quickly, and they cost on average $14 to $19 per apartment. Visual inspection takes a little bit longer, but using TruDetect is comparable when it comes to that inspection time, and also a little bit cheaper than visual inspection alone. So
Yeah.
again, we're spending a little bit less money compared to a visual inspection alone, but we're getting a dramatic increase in detection accuracy of infested units.
Yeah, and these are not exclusive to each other. Like Alex mentioned, you may have a group that runs through and uses a canine, or a group that goes through and looks visually, but there may be a service out there, or I know there are several services that will use a dog, and if the dog alerts, they'll somehow mark that area and come back and confirm that with an inspection too. So these things aren't exclusive to each other. And if the TruDetect helps gives you confirming evidence, that would probably be the best outcome of this talk, to help your customer feel more secure in what you're doing is the right thing, but we got there a little bit quicker as well.
Right. Next slide. Okay. Is this yours?
Well, you can do this one, but I can
okay,
if
yeah.
not.
Sure. So canine teams represent 14% of these offered services, and it's clear that most of the treatments, logically, most of the treatments that pest control companies provide revolve around insecticides, but still a fair amount of pest control operators offer other services around simply the control. So also around detection, also around monitoring as well.
Yeah, Alex, I like that this one on the right, it's not exclusive. So the folks that are offering insecticides can offer mattress encasements and monitoring and vacuuming and
Right,
heat
exactly.
and steam. So these are things that can be combined together to come up with that custom program. I think the toughest thing for a pest control operator is to try and do all of these things to this expert level, whether you're doing fumigation or heat or cold, whatever that may be, but to pick the most effective one. So if this gives you a little bit of color of what we see in the industry, I think that's the most value for you. And I think this actually makes a lot of sense with folks, that monitoring, whether it's pre or post, is a great thing, but also those other tools come into play. And again, Alex and I, we don't make any mattress encasements or liners or vacuums, but we see the value of these tools for you going forward as well. In terms of tools, I wanted to show you tempered FX. You may have seen tempered FX, but the reason it works is because of a few things, or works well is because of a few things. It's not just a bed bug tool, but it's a very good product for that. And what you're seeing here in this graph is a diagram to show you the average particle size. So what we're saying is that we run about 1.9 microns, but most of those particles are closely aligned to that 1.9. So 2 deviations to the left, 2 deviations to the right, you got most of your particles that you're actually spraying out there. So the goal is, can we use this product that's milled to this level? And why do you want it milled to this level? Because I want the insect exposed to both of these actives, because they work better together. And when we have them milled this way, and when we have a really good formulation, we can get better coverage on that surface. It's more likely to be taken up by that bug. If we're more likely to kill that bug, the customer is more likely to be happy. Life is better. That's the goal. That's why we co-mill it. Co-milling and making this to a very small size is not the cheapest thing, but if I can bring you a better result, that's the goal of our solution. Now, here's some of the products that are out there. This is a graphic illustration. I'm not saying my competitors are bad people. They're not bad people. But what I'm saying is this product milled on a potential surface will give you better coverage. You're more likely to pick up some of those particles of both the pyrethroid and the neonic to get better control. So it's not that you can just mix two things in a bottle randomly. It's that if you have them co-milled, if you have them the right size, the right formulation, and you get that even coverage, you're more likely to get control. And like we said it before, we're just trying to focus towards getting that good control, getting your customer happy, and moving on from that traumatic situation. Now, how does it actually work? Imidacloprid and beta-cyfluthin have value together. I hate to use the word synergist, so I'm not going to use that, but I'm going to say they work better together. You have a preferential binding when you have these two types of actives together. It's a really good way to do pest management. So it's not just the formulation and the size of that milling, it's that these two work better together. And if we can get into that bed bug better, if we can work better, we give you the better solution. Now, a lot of folks like to ask about resistant bed bugs. If we can go after resistant bed bugs and hit those resistant bed bugs on the head, they're going to die. Direct sprays are not a problem. Dry sprays can be more of a challenge, but we have a lot of different solutions that are more than just tempered FX. But I want to let you know that even resistant bed bugs, we can control really well. And it's not just us. You can see here, there's some cooperators at the bottom. And by the way, if you see those numbers at the bottom, the reason they're there is that we need to track this information. Why do you need to track it? Well, we need to say where we did it, how we did it, why we did it, and know what that protocol is so we can defend this claim to you. And I think it's important that we show this out there. So if you ever see these slides from, I don't know if it's probably not ourselves, but anybody else in the industry, and you have this pretty bar chart or graph or lines, and you're like, hey, where did that come from? You should see some type of reference on where it came from, and you should be able to find that information on who did that and why did they do that and what was their protocol. And this is what we have. In addition to that, we can actually claim more. Now, these claims, these things are usually what EPA allows you to say. There's actually more than this they allow us to say, but these are the ones that we put on our label because we think they're most important. So we know that we can kill pyrethroid-resistant bed bugs. We know from testing it that it's compatible for heat treatment. So what does that mean? We've actually treated surfaces, heated them to a higher temperature and for longer than you would with heat. In fact, at that point, I think we were up at like 140. Paint would be falling off the ceiling. We'd be messing up all the TVs and paintings in the house. It would be really bad. And the product didn't break down. In fact, you might even be able to say, hey, this even worked even a little bit better, but it's compatible with heat treatments. So we know that. So we also know that the young nymphs, when they come out, if we don't kill those bed bug eggs, as soon as they crawl out into that surface and they pick up some of that product, they're very vulnerable. They tend to die very quickly, so we can control them very well. We know it's non-repellent to bed bugs. And you may say, well, hey, I've heard about repellency in the industry, and I think it might be repellent. Well, you can have some chemoexcitatory reactions, but this is not repellency like we think of with termites, or maybe even spatial repellency with mosquitoes. So if they walk across that area, you can see excitatory reactions, but generally, if they get enough of a dose of it, they die. We know that we can kill those bed bugs for up to 6 months on those wood, fabric, or upholstered surfaces, which are really common products that you'd find on mattresses, box springs, headboards, chairs, places where we tend to lay or rest for a long period of time where you happen to get these bed bug infestations. And we know we can prevent those bed bug infestations for up to 6 months. Now, if you spray one corner of a room, are you going to want to make that claim somewhere else? Absolutely not. So you can't disengage your good practices. You can't disengage your good judgment on how I use these tools. But what I want you to know is if you use this tool in the way we've labeled it, I got every confidence that you're going to be very, very happy with it. Moving from there, we have to address this. So what happens if you see an article that says that there's one product out there that doesn't work? Let's talk about that. Can you see that resistance happening quickly with just pyrethroids? Absolutely. Curiously, we don't see the same thing with neonicotinoids. In fact, imidacloprid is actually a really good neonic in terms of control for bed bugs. It's a good one to pair with beta-cyfluorethrin. So yes, you can have pyrethroid resistance. Yes, it can happen pretty quickly. But generally, with those products that are out there, if you're using a neonic and a pyrethroid together, we don't tend to see field issues, because not only would you have a large population killed, you can have a population that is not perfect. It's not able to get its genes on to the next generation. It's functionally out of that breeding pool. So we tend not to see those issues with our tools used in the whole. So there are some changes that can affect performance of these products. There can be some chemical changes. So there can be an upregulation of things that go after and attack some of these products in the industry. There can be a downregulation of sites where these products are active in certain insects. You can have physical changes. It's not just bed bugs. You see it in mosquitoes as well, where you can have thickening of cuticles or tougher to get in there. And without saying too much, Alex knows about this and has some cool solutions, hopefully in the next couple of years as well, we can bring you. And there can be behavioral changes. If we have folks on here that have done rodent control, they probably know that in certain places where you have maybe a third shift in a certain factory or facility, and they have doors being left open, the rodents are really active between, say, that 6 a.m. and that 7 a.m. shift change. You see that, or they're active between 2 and 3 when that shift change happens, whatever that may be. So our behavior can also affect some of these pest behaviors, and we shouldn't be surprised about it. I'm going to show you a little bit more about residual sprays, because I think it's pretty important. A lot of residual sprays are labeled for these areas. Some vary on where they can be used and where they can't be used. I can tell you the seams, folds, tufts, cracks, and crevices are all the places you're going to find bed bugs. I don't think really, if I was to start a business today, that I would spray every single surface inside that house. I don't think that'd be the right thing to do, especially where we're sitting and lounging for large periods of time. Not that I think you're going to have any undue issue with these products, but because that's not where the bed bugs are. Why am I wasting my time? Why am I wasting that product? And many other issues. but the goal is to apply the product where it's most likely to be effective. And I think a lot of our products do allow that, and these are the places I would start. I would start with those liquid treatments from where you're most likely to see those bed bugs and move on out from there. There are some other tips for residual sprays. So if you're treating these cracks and crevices, I like to wait until it's dry to encase the mattress and box spring. And the reason I like to do that is most of these products are labeled to say, hey, don't let people into there until it's dry. Whatever that drying time may be, it's going to depend on your area, depend on the temperature and humidity and a few other things. It's usually fairly quickly. But once you cover those mattresses and box springs and covers, you do a couple things. You stop that bed bug generally from feeding through. You stop that bed bug from escaping or getting inside there, and you also make your follow-on inspection a lot easier. So you can treat these areas, you can be thorough about it, you can do other things like encasing them. All these things kind of point towards the direction of solving the problem for the customer. Beyond that, we also have some really cool things, and I want to turn it back over to Alex to talk a little bit about dust and maybe a solution you've heard a bit about.
Yeah, thanks. So before we talk about the new tempered dust product, I wanted to talk a little bit about dust in general. So dust particles can often be comprised of various compositions. There are diatomaceous earth dusts, talc dust, perlite dust, boric acid dusts, silica dusts, and all of these have different ways in which they kill insects. But even within a specific type of dust, and tempered dust uses silica aerogel, even within silica aerogel dust, there's a tremendous amount of variation in things like particle size, composition, lots of variation in just a single category of dusts. And between all of these dusts, we see quite a lot of variation as well as in the modes of action. So some of these dusts are desiccants. For example, the silica aerogel dust is a desiccant. Cuticle abrasion may be another mode of action that another dust may have. But again, within a specific category of dust, for example, within silica dusts, tremendous amount of variation in particle size and the heterogeneity of the particle sizes within that mixture. So we've tested all of these when it comes to tempered dust and picked the most performant one. When it comes to insecticidal dust in general, insecticidal dusts are incredibly versatile when it comes to their application and use. Insecticidal dust could be applied in small handheld devices. For example, the bellows duster and the bulb duster. Electric dusters exist as well. For example, the exacticide duster and other more niche dusters, for example, carpet dusters, pole dusters, and paintbrush dusters. But I like to say that when I used to be a pest control technician, I could do, I'd say 90% of my entire service with insecticidal dust. They're just that versatile.
Yeah, and I think in this slide, I know we put a lot of images, we put a lot of pictures. We had to take out stuff. There are other dusters that we've tried, and Alex is going to show you our solution here in a minute, but the other dusters that are out there, the power dusters, some of our competitors' dusters, they all work with this solution. So it's, exclusion of those by not putting a picture of them in here doesn't mean it won't work through there. I just want to let you know we ran out of physical landscape to put the images on here.
Okay, so insecticidal dusts are an excellent tool in pest control operators' toolkits because they will continue to kill insects as long as they remain dry and undisturbed. There are some dusts on the market, for example, Delta dust, which is effectively waterproof. It has a hydrophobic coating on that dust particle, so it doesn't, it's not affected by moisture. But as long as insecticidal dusts remain dry and undisturbed, those insecticidal dusts will continue to kill insects in that area. So in a way, it could be thought of as a permanent form of pest control. Again, insecticidal dusts are highly versatile and could be used by a variety of application equipment to apply dusts into cracks, crevices, and voids. And dusts as well tend to have excellent coverage of treated areas and excellent attachment to the insect body, causing eventual mortality. Tempered dust in particular, so we've talked about insecticidal dust in general, the characteristics of insecticidal dusts, but now moving to the details of our new product, tempered dust. Tempered dust is comprised of 1% flupyridifurone and 0.5% beta-cyfluthrine on a silica aerogel carrier. I mentioned before that we had tested easily dozens of different types of insecticidal dust particles and found a particular type of silica to be most effective in killing insects. It's a highly performed carrier, and one of the most interesting things about this dust is that it has our new active ingredients, flupyridifurone. Flupyridifurone is a subclass of the neonicotinoids, but it exists within its own subclass. There are no other butynoloids on the market. And we found flupyridifurone to be extremely effective at killing both susceptible and resistant strains of bedbugs, cockroaches, ants, stored product pests, kissing bugs, and complete mortality of all the public health pests that we've tested it against, for example, yellow jackets and stored product pests. No signal word, extremely fast speed of kill, and an easy to read and understand label developed in collaboration with pest control operators. So altogether, I think we have an excellent product that we're offering the market. Label and package, you could see in the bottom right-hand corner, nice package. It's a nozzle that allows for fast filling of applicators. And as I mentioned before, the label is short and sweet. It's easy to read and understand, based on the philosophy that's my personal philosophy that insecticide labels should be able to be read by a pest control operator quickly to gain necessary information. So there's no extraneous language, and again, no signal word. We're moving into some data here. This is data based out of New Mexico State University, Alvaro Romero. We've tested tempered dust in all of our assays with extremely short 1-minute exposure times. So one thing to note is that in order to register a product with the EPA, the maximum allowed exposure time for insects to be exposed to treated surfaces is 4 hours. And we've tested tempered dust in 1-minute exposure times. So this is, again, it requires very little product in order to get extraordinary kill. So this is an exceptional way in which we've tested tempered dust in all of these assays. But we've found that tempered dust is extremely effective against both susceptible and resistant strains of bed bugs, and is extremely effective against kissing bugs as well, vectors of Chagas disease.
There's an important thing here. We have pretty charts. We give you a lot of information. That's true. But if you see a competitor too, what we're showing is that some of our competitors are not evil as well. But we want to be fair and show you the entirety of the message. So this controls not just bed bugs, but maybe some of those other bugs that might be found in those areas. And we're just talking about resistant bed bugs and kissing bugs here. There could be other insects that are found in those areas, whether they be American roaches, who knows what might be found in that area. But we want to be upfront and honest with you with our data because we think that's very, very important.
And we have a short video showing the impact of temper dust against bed bugs versus a competitive dust product.
And while this is playing, I just want to let you know that this product, when you get it in your hands and feel it, it is giving you superior results at at a much lower rate than maybe some of your current dust products that you may buy from us. So I'll just pick on Tempo Dust. It goes out at half the rate, but this would be a better solution for bed bugs than Tempo Dust, even at half the rate. So at half the rate, you're getting even a better solution than that one, because that one goes out at a half to 1 pound per 1,000 square feet. This one goes out to 1/4 to a 1/2 pound per 1,000 square feet. So it's a very light dust, flows really well, and we haven't found any tools right now, unless you know of one, Alex, that it won't flow through for you.
Yeah, tempered dust outperforms all other insecticidal dusts that we've tested it against. All of our competitive dusts, even our own internal dusts, tempered dust is the most performant. So it's really been exciting to see what's essentially been my baby. Being the original idea champion of this product and idea, seeing my baby grow up, and do some good in the world. It's a pretty exciting time.
It's a fun product. So I know we're up on our time. We wanted to leave a couple minutes for questions and answers, and thank you, Alex, for developing this product. But are there things that are needed to know that we can help you answer about either our products or about where we see the industry going? And maybe we could turn it back over to Chris.
Yeah, Matt and Alex, thank you for presenting such great informative information. We did have a couple of questions that came through, so let's get right to it. The first one's asking, why should I use a dust product in addition to a liquid insecticide?
Yeah, I can. Oh, go ahead. That's a great question. Why should you use both an insecticidal dust as well as an insecticidal spray? Again, it's important that pest control operators use as many tools at their disposal as possible when it comes to treating bed bugs and, in fact, other pests as well, but focused on bed bugs. Insecticidal dusts will excel in situations where liquid sprays will find its challenge. So when we're talking about things like getting active ingredients into cracks, crevices, and voids, insecticidal dust will outperform liquid sprays. They'll last longer. Again, insecticidal dust will last for years in these environments, as long as they remain dry and undisturbed. Yeah, it's important that we target a variety of environments where bed bugs could hide using different tools. So
absolutely,
sprays
we
have
all
their
made
value,
lots of
but insecticidal dusts also very clearly have value and applications, both from their longevity and their efficacy to the versatile way in which they could be applied into the environment.
Thanks, Alex. The next question's asking, what results have you seen from TrueDetect's trials and research?
The results we've largely shown in this presentation, we found a high degree of detection accuracy from laboratory testing against residues of common bed bugs, Cymex selectularius, as well as tropical bed bugs, Cymex smipterus, and we've also seen excellent results from a field environment in which we've tested TrueDetects against canine sniffing or bedbug sniffing canine teams and human visual inspection.
All right, the next question's asking, how should these tools be used together?
I think they're naturally paired. You know, dust flows well into those cracks and crevices or deep in harborages where liquids probably won't penetrate no matter how much pressure you put behind them. You know, most of these liquids are supposed to be applied as a coarse, low pressure spray, you know, 50 PSI or whatnot. We're not doing 200 PSI. So they're going to flow to those places you just can't get. And like Alice mentioned before, it's almost like a permanent pest control. So if you can exclude that area as a place that pests won't be, whether it be bed bugs or other insects, you can focus on the ones or the places where some of these pests may enter. So they have a natural 1-2 punch, and besides just being different formulations, they're different actives. So you're stacking the cards in your favor by using both of them.
Yeah, I can address that question from an even broader perspective as well. When it comes to bedbug management, there are three central pillars, three central steps. The first step is bedbug detection. So finding bedbugs, do I have a problem? That's the first step. The second step is bedbug control, using effective tools to kill bedbugs in the areas where you've detected them. And third is bedbug monitoring. So has my control measures been successful in eliminating those bed bugs? So always three steps: bed bug detection, bed bug control, and bed bug monitoring. And when we're talking about using all of these products together, we're talking about using true detects and visual inspection for bed bug detection. We're talking about using tempered spray and tempered dust for bedbug control. And we don't offer a bedbug monitoring tool, but there are traps and lures out there available in order to determine whether or not the control methods have been successful. So we're tackling two of the three necessary pillars of bedbug management.
Excellent.
Well, all right, guys, we are just a little bit past the top of the hour, so I just want to say thank you to Matt, Alex, and everyone for attending today's webinar. Like I mentioned earlier, later today, everyone will receive a follow-up email with a short survey and the recording of today's session. So we would appreciate you sharing your feedback. On behalf of our speakers and Veseris, thank you for joining us today. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.